Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow. And by now, a lot of people have been made at least aware or have at least watched the Dark Side of the Ring, the plane ride from hell. And this is the most consequential one they have made just yet. Now, there is a particular reason why this is so consequential and why everybody's talking about it is because the wrestling vlogsphere, which has been quite woke lately, has seemingly felt the opportunity to cancel people, namely Ric Flair and Tommy Dreamer, because of one particular person and their account being Heidi Doyle, one of the flight attendants on that infamous flight. Now, before I go any further, if you like what you hear, please go subscribe for more geek gaming culture and leave a comment down below about what you thought about this episode. Also, please be advised I'm working with a new microphone here, so if you hear anything that is not up to par right in the moment, I do apologize. I'm going to try to rock out the kinks in this new microphone as we go along, so please bear with me as I try to do the best that I can with the knowledge of where the levels are going to be. If you hear something that is not up to par, please let me know. I will try to fix them for subsequent videos. Hopefully this one is well enough that we can get through it without any real big complications, because this is pretty important. Because one of the things that I said in my previous video was concerning how the YouTube vlogsphere had seemingly want to come after Ric Flair and Tommy Dreamer. Now, at that point in time, I thought, you know what? I don't think that, especially Stephen Larson, because they seem to be all up in with Tommy Dreamer what he actually said, because what they said he said was not what he actually said. But we'll get to all of that here in just a second, because it seems as though some people who were watching Dark Side of the Ring had actually done some actual investigative work and found something that makes us want to say, hey, okay, let's slow down, hold everything, because we got some things we need to talk about with Heidi Doyle. Heidi Doyle was the one that was the flight attendant who had the most face time on this special, because she was the one who got the most of it, apparently. The reason we say apparently, because first of all, we were not on the plane with her, obviously, so everything is just hearsay until we have corroboration. But now it seems as though some people have done some digging. Some people who have done some actual investigative work, instead of just blindly believing people, found out a few things about Heidi Doyle that may cause people to question whether or not she was actually being truthful in this special. Does it mean that she was absolutely 100% lying? Absolutely not. Does it completely exonerate Ric Flair? No, it does not. However, we have to take this into consideration because there's a such thing as due process. And right in the moment, not only is this hard to find on Google, but nobody in the YouTube wrestling vlogsphere, nor did Vice, ever touch this part of the story. They did not touch upon what amounts to a conviction and time in prison. Why? Because she was convicted of a robbery alongside another person, and we'll get to that right now, because you may have seen, if you went on to Facebook within the past couple of days, this image that has popped up. Now, this is unclear if this is a Facebook post or a tweet. However, it says, quote, "So Dark Side of the Ring flight attendant Heidi Doyle, who made accusations about Ric Flair, is also a jewel thief and at one point had a $1,000 reward out on her. How about that?" And there's this little cute emoji. Now you can see that somebody who would be an accomplice of hers and her herself, a little bit younger, but no doubt it is her, you can no doubt tell it was her, is shown. Now I'm not sure what the television station is here. I can't tell the graphic package from this angle. However, when we go and we search on the Google about this story, we do get a couple of hits, so it's kind of hard in order to get these hits, but we had actually found them. One of them is from Wrestling Edge, and even though it didn't go and list the sources, we know where the sources are and we can supply that for you. However, according to the story, it says Ric Flair flight attendant arrest report leaks, and it says, quote, "The two-time WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair has received heavy criticism after the newest season 3 episode of Dark Side of the Ring about the infamous 2002 plane ride from hell. Heidi Doyle, who is a stewardess on board of the Boeing 757, claimed that Flair had sexually harassed her by flashing her and putting her hand on his genitals. Ever since such allegations started in 2002, the Nature Boy always claimed there was no truth to Heidi's story whatsoever, and he has continued to deny it. He recently put up a statement saying that he is denying it, even saying something to the effect of somebody who, whenever he opens his mouth, he's lying, is telling the truth when it comes to Ric Flair pushing and forcing himself onto other people in the way Heidi Doyle had said that he did. However, now it gets to the meat of the story. Ric Flair accuser has criminal record. A group of pro wrestling fans have done some research on her and discovered that Mrs. Doyle actually has a criminal record after allegedly stealing, are you ready for this, $80,000 worth of jewelry in 2016 with a man named Rob Scott. Now, here's what OsideNews.com reported on them. Now, OsideNews.com was not the only source for this. Fox 5 San Diego was also covering the story and also put out a story about this, but we'll go with Oside News for this particular thing, saying new photos, videos of two suspected of taking $80,000 in jewelry. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of the city here because I'm going to actually butcher it if I do, so I'm not going to try it. And also keep in mind that this is a story that was written in 2016. San Diego County Crime Stoppers and investigators from the North Coastal Sheriff's Station are asking for the public's help to locate a man and woman wanted in connection with two burglaries at an Enchilada store. Burglaries happened on August 20th and September 2nd at the Consignment Classics on South El Camino Real. $80,000 in jewelry was stolen during the thefts. New surveillance video shows a woman wearing a black jumpsuit casing the store the day of the second burglary. It is believed the suspects in this case are Rob Scott and Heidi Doyle. They may be traveling in a gold 2009 Volkswagen EOS with California license plate number blah blah blah. Anyone with information of the whereabouts should call the North Coastal or whoever it was, and Crime Stoppers is offering up to $1,000 reward to anyone with information that leads to an arrest in the case. Now, they did put out a video and I have saved that video, so I do know that it does exist in case it does get taken down. It is on YouTube. I will show it to you in this video as well. However, the Wrestling Edge story continues on, saying that they were arrested. Chicago Tribune reported the following about it. Now, I'll show you the Chicago Tribune page, and I have to do the archive version because apparently it makes you turn off your ad blocker in order to view the page. I hate when people do that. Anyway, Rob Scott, 3, was taken into custody in Nevada, and Heidi Doyle, 42, turned herself in at a San Diego County Sheriff's Department station in Enchilada. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, sheriff's official said. Now, here's where I think it's funny because apparently this is not the only thing that she had done. 2 faced charges of commercial burglary. Doyle was also booked into jail on charges of identity theft and writing fake checks. So apparently this is not the only thing she had ever done. Now, what is showing on your screen right now is the video that was posted onto the OsideNews.com site and is on YouTube right now. It doesn't really have very many views. However, I'm pretty sure it's going to get a lot of views now because few people are picking this up. But you know who's not picking this up? You know who doesn't want you to view this? Apparently, the people in the Wrestling View to vlogsphere, because as of the recording of this video, I have yet to see anybody reporting on this Heidi Doyle discovery. Where is this story, Stephen Larson? Where is this story, Wrestle Talk? Where is this story, Wet Culture? Where is this story, Cultaholic? Where is this story, WrestleMania? I don't suspect that Brian Zane is ever going to actually report on this because we all know how much of a crap lib he has become. He has become such of one that he hears an accusation and immediately goes into conviction mode, more so than any other wrestling YouTuber right now. The most important thing is, where was this part of the story, Vice? Because you told us that Brock Lesnar didn't return your her phone calls. You didn't even ask Ric Flair if he wanted to answer any of these claims, even though he did so anyway. And you put Heidi Doyle's name out there. You put her face into just about every single part of this documentary. Though for some reason, when it came to these convictions, when it came to her having jail time or these robberies, there is radio silence. And if you want to tell me that you have some of the best investigative journalists out there, it's really hard to believe that you would actually miss this. I do not believe that you missed this in any sort of way. But you know what it does for me? You know what it actually does? It makes me actually want to hear what Tommy Dreamer actually said to you. Because now what he said to you actually makes a little bit of sense. Did what he say have something to do with this and you knew about it and wanted to hide it? Did he say something about why she accepted the settlement after telling you about this story here and you decided to not say anything? I don't believe that you are being honest here, Vice, because Rob Van Dam had also said there was a lot of quote-unquote creative editing, and he has responded as well, and it doesn't seem as though that he's really happy with how you frame this and how you edit all of this. Remember, this is not the first time I have criticized you, Vice. I had criticized you before doing the 8chan thing that you had pulled. And like I said, you can say whatever you want about 8chan, but at the end of the day, what you did was uncalled for. And it doesn't seem as though it could be happening here again. Why was this never mentioned? Of course, we're mentioning it now because you have the right, people who are watching my channel, to have all the facts before you make a decision. This blows the door open. What if not only she took this settlement because she knew she would make more money doing that than if she went all the way, but how much did Vice pay her in order to do this interview? How much compensation did she get from Vice in order to say what she wanted them to hear or what Vice wanted her to say? Does this mean that she's lying? No, it doesn't necessarily mean she's lying. Doesn't necessarily exonerate Ric Flair completely, but it does raise some suspicion as to what exactly happened that night. What exactly happened on that plane? Unless we were on that plane, unless we were there doing these incidents, those are all hearsay. And it seems as though Rob Van Dam is kind of trying to walk back his corroboration. And like I said before, why would Tommy Dreamer corroborate a lot of these other stories, but then push back on the Ric Flair story? And yes, there is another flight attendant that had filed a lawsuit. However, Vice didn't focus mainly on her. They focused on Heidi here. Maybe the other flight attendant didn't feel as though it was appropriate for Vice to exploit that whole story of hers. But this does raise a whole lot of unanswered questions that I would like to have answered. I would love to hear the entirety of the unedited interview that Tommy Dreamer did with Vice about this incident and know whether or not he actually brought this up. Because if he did, then that would put this particular situation in a whole new light. But in order to do that, we would need the YouTube vlogsphere of wrestling in order to stop being this honest with their fan base, with their audience. Why aren't we hearing this story out of people like Steven Larson or Wrestle Talk or What Culture? We all know Brian Zane's not going to cover it because we all know how he operates anymore. But what about any of the other wrestling vlogs or blogs that cover this for a living time in and time out? Where are they here? Are they that scared to cover this story? Are they that spineless to cover this story? Are they that scared of YouTube going on them? Or are they seriously going into this realm of conviction before they get all the evidence, before they get any kind of corroboration, before they get any kind of other evidence that might call into question person's story? No, this does not say that Heidi Doyle completely lied, but there are some unanswered questions now that we have to get answers to, and we cannot get those answers if people are not going to let us get those answers. Would we have to issue Tommy Dreamer an apology here? It sure is possible we're going to have to. Maybe all this freak out is immature. And before you go and say it, yes, this definitely is Heidi Doyle in this picture. She only aged a few years after that picture was taken. Yes, this is Heidi Doyle. Period. End of story. Full stop. And that is even more so to why we have to cover it and why we should not be scared of covering this. This is not the same as misinformation. This is something that is proven. We know it's Heidi Doyle in that video. We know it's her on those pictures in these news articles. What is going on here? We deserve answers. We need answers because this is a person's livelihood we are talking about here. Person has gotten suspended on the back of this, and one person stands to lose their standing in another wrestling organization on the back of this. Something doesn't add up right now. So we need to get all the answers before we go and level some cancellations, as if cancel culture was not bonked as it was. And it's not going to help us if the YouTube vlogsphere doesn't get their act together and do some actual goddamn reporting instead of catering to this woke skulled crowd. Because let's be honest, it is not helping anybody right at the moment. Hopefully this gives a lot of people some motivation in order to actually cover this story. We will continue to keep tabs on this. Until next time, my name is Shady Shadow, and that just happened.